Hello there, Terry. It's Tomas, and I'm sitting here looking at your video from our first lesson together, which I thought was a great one, by the way. And you'll see some interesting stuff here, I'm sure, as we go through this. And I look forward to moving forward from here. I hope that things have been going well for you out on the course since our first lesson. You've noticed a little bit of difference in your ability to more impact the ball more consistently. That's what we're going for. Alright, so I have up here a split display of a caddy view, the face-on view here, and the down-the-line view, which is shot from the back. And I'm just going to go play through them here slowly so that you can see what your swing looks like, and then I'll go back and analyze the swing a little bit, and we'll talk about what needs to be fixed and what we're going to work on, and then I'll show you some stuff that we did during that first get-together, which was really cool. Alright, so this is your swing from the caddy view, straight on, in slow motion. There you go. Set that back at the beginning. And this is what it looks like from down the line. That one you pulled to the left a little bit, but then it curved to the right. So I'll show you how that looks in terms of what causes it. Alright, so that's your swing recorded for all posterity to see before we started our lessons, because when you see the difference when we get done, it'll be pretty amazing. So you'll be out there beating me. I know that. So let's see. Let's start with this caddy view. I'm going to draw a little cage around you here that we can watch what happens as you go through your swing. I'll put this right at the top of your forehead, sort of enclose your body in this cage so we can see how it moves. Alright? So if we start moving here, well, it's obvious. We can see the first thing that happens is that you move way off the position that your head is in to begin with. Okay? And also you notice that this leg stays bent here. That does kind of inhibit your hips from turning further than they are. You see, they're still pretty. During the swing, we'd love to see this hip higher, this hip a little lower, the shoulder down lower than this, and the left arm totally straight, whereas in this case the left arm is bent a little bit. But that head, most importantly, that head should stay right over the ball. The way I teach is I try to eliminate any of the little idiosyncrasies in a person's swing that are very difficult to repeat. So we try and make it as simple as possible, because as we know now, after doing that little impact drill, which I'll show you how you did on that, but we know that impacting that ball right at the point of the back of the ball and then hitting the ground afterwards over here is key. If you can do that every time, every single time. Now the pros can do it even with some different movements that I'm going to teach you, because they get to hit 1,000 balls a day. But for us, we don't get to practice that much. It's most important to minimize the moving parts in order to be able to get back to the same position every time. And you see here, when you get to the top, how your arm straightens out a little bit. Arm straightens out a little bit. Your shoulders are not turned 90 degrees. They could be turned more than this. And that, once again, if we straighten this leg, that's going to turn your hips more. That's going to allow you to turn your shoulder more around and down in here is where I'd like to see it. Okay, so straightening that right leg is one thing we're going to work on. Now you have moved. You can see that most of your weight here is on this right side, and so now the process then is to get the weight back over to the left side in the amount of time that you swing down. It's very difficult to do, so we're going to work on maintaining the weight on the left side throughout the swing so that it's there when you get back to impact. Okay, and now as you come down, you see your head tries to get back to where it was, but it never does. This is not a bad position in terms of lag here. That's why you hit the ball so far. You have a really nice lag. So in other words, your hands haven't released. Most people, their club is down here at this point when they're when they're just starting lessons like this. But this looks great. This is a good position here, except that your head is not where it started. So that means if your head moved, that means your shoulder moved. That means the low point of the swing moved. In all likelihood, then, and you notice you're standing up here as well. In all likelihood, you're going to hit below in back of the ball, because now where you started, where your shoulder was over the ball, now it's in back of that. So, and look how you're standing up. You're standing up. So there's a lot of things happening that are changing the way the club was and the way this is all about hand-eye coordination. And your body right now thinks, okay, to hit that ball, I got to get right back to this position because you've already lined up in this position. But if you do all of this, you're not getting back there. Look, your head is way higher, and way further back at the time that you impact the ball. And you're standing up, you're kind of sweeping it off the surface, as opposed to staying down and hitting down on the ball. You'll also notice that at impact, your weight is still way back on this left side. You can actually see your weight is actually lifting up off of this left foot, whereas the perfect impact position would have your weight over on this left side. But look how different your head position is here. You'll see you actually corrected that during the drill that I taught you. Now, also, I'd like you to notice here that this line here, that this left side has broken down. Now, yours is not nearly as bad as most people. You do I'm sorry, I don't have the exact frame of impact, but right at impact, your hands have started to flip a little. But right after impact here, you can see how much your hands have flipped, and we're going to try and stop that from happening, because that's basically a loss of power. In addition, you can see how much it's closed the club. So the club goes from open here to closed there. Well, that doesn't give you much of an opportunity to hit that ball exactly the same every time here. If it's open here and it's closed there, that means you're counting on the fact that that's going to be pointed directly at the target at the moment of impact, and that's difficult to do every time unless you're out there practicing day after day, hour after hour. So the swing that I'm teaching is where this club is going to stay on path a much longer time. From here to out here, it's going to be on path or very close to being on path, so that you have a much higher percentage of times when you hit the ball when it starts at the target line that you anticipated starting at. Okay, so leave that here. Now, on this side, let's look at it from down the line. What we're going to do is we're going to draw a line here straight up the club through your hands, and that should go about through your waist, which it does. It's very close. The other one that we'll draw goes through your shoulder, and this is the arc. With your current stance, this is the arc on which we want to keep that club in the hand path in order to make the most consistent swing. So we'll take a look at what happens there. Also, let me draw a little box here on your head so we can look at your head movement from a vertical or up and down point of view as well. There. Okay? So let's take a look at how this looks now. So the first thing we notice is that you have a tendency to bring that club back very low. Your hands are below that wedge that I drew. So if your hands were over here and that club was pointed right at us at this point, I'd like it a lot better, because you'll see what happens now when you get up to the top. You're coming back into, now you're lifting, you're basically going from here and you're having to lift straight up to get that club to go up through your shoulders. Whereas we'd like these hands to go back through maybe the center of your bicep. So this whole thing tilted a little bit flatter at this point because you go up through basically through your shoulder here. And as you get to the top, you see this move that you're starting to make here. Look at that move. See the way it is? If you look at just your shoulder here, and it moves like that. Look at your hands at this point in time. I'll just draw a little tiny circle here around your hands as they go up. Look at that. So there's the path that your hands take. Look at that. They go up and around, up and around. Well, that's a recipe for disaster right there. First of all, it's very difficult to repeat every time. And secondly, you're setting yourself up for coming over the top, which is something that you have a difficult time with. As you can see, your club, the reason why you hit the ball so far is this is great. This looks great here. If we hit, we're going to make this into a fabulous swing, because if you can hold this position without going through all of these gyrations in order to try and get there the same every time, it's going to be real good. But you can see here that you can see how much over the top you're coming. You see that? So you're coming from the outside in. This club is actually going left like that, and it's very closed. So you can imagine how this, if the club is facing the way the path is going, you're going to pull the ball, which you did here, right? You're going to pull that ball. If the club is facing at the target at this point, which would be slightly more open than that, then the ball is going to start out there at the target and it's going to fade to the right because the path is going left and the club is pointed this way. So you have a face that's pointed there and a path that's pointed there. So the face is open to the path, and that's as I told you about in our little discussion there about the geometry of the swing. When the face is open to the path, it's going to tilt the backspin to the right, and that's going to cause the ball to fade to the right. And that happens to you a lot, where it starts at the target and then fades off to the right. That's exactly because of this. It's because of this coming over the top. See, if you came back down the same way you went up here, look at this. Now you do come up a little low, but just for instance, if you get here and then you came straight back down, this would be a much easier move to make. I'm just going backwards now. So forwards and backwards. So forwards and then backwards. You're coming back down basically down the same path that you went up. And look at how much easier that looks. And and the club now comes from the inside. Look at that's perfect. See, that would be perfect. So we're going to try and simplify this move here. Is from your lower body moving in the wrong way during the initial part of the downswing. So you can see how your whole body turns and your hands come out over the top, as opposed to going up here and then right back down the same way. Look how nice that swing looks. You got a great swing in there. You just you just add this little extra component to it and then come over the top. Okay, and of course your weight is still way centered back here on this right foot as opposed to out there on the left. But a lot of great things about your swing. One of which I notice is that you have very little vertical movement during the swing, which is great. You see the top of your head there during the whole swing moves up just a little bit, but a lot of people stand up much more than that. So I like that. What that does is it keeps this. Oops, I don't want to do that. Sorry about that. It keeps this spine angle here in the same position that it was at address. See, there's your spine angle. It's actually called the angle of inclination. It's really not your spine angle. Your spine angle is changing all the time, but it's your angle of inclination. And a lot of people just stand way up. And look at you. That's fabulous. That's fabulous. Now in this case, you can see if this leg was straight here, as opposed to being bent. If this was straight, you can see how much further your hip could turn. Therefore, your shoulder could turn down into here, and that would give you much more power with much less effort, much more little effort. So those are a couple of the things we're going to work on. Okay. Very good. It's a good analysis, huh? I love what we have so far. I love what we have to work with. I love where we're going. So all of that is great. Okay. All right. So let me get rid of all these little marks here, and then bring in a different picture. So we worked on a drill whereby we made it so that we wanted to focus on the exact moment of impact. Okay, you remember this, sure, called the impact drill, and this is what it looks like. It focuses on getting all your weight on the left leg and leaving it there, so that when you swing back and then through, all your weight stays on the left. Look at the difference between this picture here and this picture here. See how much your weight is over on the right here, whereas here all that weight is on the left. This is where it's supposed to be at impact. Your weight's supposed to be 90%, 80-90% over on your left side. Your arms are both straight here, as opposed to this chicken wing effect that you have here. This is a normal reaction of the body to chicken winging like that, because it's afraid of hitting the club into the ground because you're moving around so much. It's not sure whether or not it's going to hurt itself, so it chicken wings this arm. Everybody does that at first, but this is great. Look at that. Look at that swing right there. That's great. So let's move up and see how you do when you hit the ball. A lot of people are able to do this in practice, but they have a difficult time doing it when there's a ball in there. Make this a little faster. All right, so all right. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the difference there. I mean, that's amazing. We did it just at one little session with this drill. You're a great student that you learned that you picked that up so fast. Now there is a little flipping going on here still, and you definitely went too far for this drill. So we did work on some other stuff that involved the impact bag, and this is great stuff here. So all right, so on the impact bag, it teaches you this is what we're going for here, this straight line, straight up and down at the moment of impact, as opposed to this, see? As opposed to this is you lost all the power, you know? Now like back at impact, your arm was initially just flipped. In other words, it was very close. You have other issues that are bigger than this flipping thing, but the flipping thing will make a tremendous difference in the power that you have. And so he really killed that one. But let's go back. Okay. So pardon my back here, but here's your hands going through and just hitting the impact bag. So once I get the impact bag out of the way here, watch what happened there. Oops. Now look at that. That is impact. Look at this, Terry. This is fabulous. Now which one here looks like the golfer here? Huh? Look at that. Look at that. Your hands are in front of the club head. The ball's already been struck. The ground is being hit. Look at the difference. Look at it. Which one do you want to be here? Look at your weight's all over on the left side. This is fabulous. This looks great. And by the way, also, let's notice this. Let's put the cage in there. This is amazing. Let's put the cage in here. Now watch. Look at that. Look at that. You're swinging right around your head. You see, now your head's starting a little bit forward here, but let's just, because I'm going to change that. I'm going to change that to where your head starts where it's going to finish, because this is your natural, what I call your natural center of motion in terms of your swing. And look at this. Look at, once you get to this point, look at how steady your head stays. Look at that. Look at that. Fabulous. Now that's getting rid of one of the major moving parts that most people have trouble hitting the ground exactly in the same spot every time. That's fabulous, Terry. That's really, really good. Look at that. That's really great. We'll get you to stay down in that position a little bit longer, but that's okay so far. That's really, really great work for the first day. So that impact bag really makes a difference in terms of getting you to feel this versus this. I'm going to take a picture of that just so I can make it the... Okay, so, pretty cool, hey? Yeah, so let's see what happens here as we go forward. So we worked on just a few things, but everything... Here's another one. Starting right in the same spot. Let's move this baby. Look at that. Look at how steady that stays. Oh my god. Impact. Perfect. Okay, we want to keep this arm straight though as we come through, and keep that arm straight. We'll work more on this. This is an iterative process. This takes a long time, but watch. Look at that perfect impact. Boom. No, you didn't hit the ground any time before the ball had already gone out. Your hands are still in front of the club head at this point. There's your hands, there's the club head. Your head is directly over where it started. This is fabulous stuff. Okay? There you go. That's great. That's great. Now, let's see what else we got here. We'll get rid of these. Okay. Now, I think we moved into full swing here, where I let you do a full swing. Let's see. No, that's still the same. All right, so this is still the drill shot, but it's starting to look really good. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so here, this is now where I took it. So that was the drill. Okay, and remember, it's just a drill. It's not supposed to be something you use to play with, although, as I mentioned, you can. It's especially useful for getting out from under trees and things like that. But, you know, you can hit the ball maybe like 3/4, 2/3 of what you normally, the distance you normally would. It stays nice and low. It goes perfectly straight or has a little draw. And so this is where we unleash you to make a full swing. And I just wanted to show you now the difference between your original swing and this one. Green for good versus red for bad. Alright, here we go. Now this is a full swing. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that line there, down your shoulders. Fabulous. Fabulous. Versus this. And you just killed that ball. You just killed that ball. Now, I'm going to want you to stay back a little bit further. Once that head starts moving, that means you've stopped tilting to the right. And we got to get that right. Your body should be tilted here, right at your waist. In other words, there should be a tilt that goes right in like that. So if you were tilted back over, your head would still be back. And we want to hold that a little bit longer, at least out through there. Okay. So we got to work on that tilt. But look at how much weight you have over on your left side here. And you just killed this ball, remember? And you never sliced one again the whole time that we did the drill, and then you started hitting these full shots. You never sliced another ball. Remember? Fabulous. Just fabulous. And here was the best one where I exclaimed after you did it, "My work here is done." You said, "No, it's not." But but and I agree, it's not. But we're gonna have some fun finishing it. I know that. So let's go here. This is this part. Oops, I read this one. This is the swing. This is the swing that caused me to say my work was done. Look at this position, by the way. I'll come back to that, but look at let's go to impact first. This is your swing. Look at that. Look at that. Oh man, this is a full swing. You crushed this ball. Look at, you're still straight through as opposed to this. And the ball's already gone. The ball's already been hit. Your weight's totally over on your left side. Arm is straight. Your head is still where it started. Let's go back to the beginning here. We'll bring in the little cage. And we'll move back to. So I'm gonna get you so that at setup your head is a little bit back, so you keep it right exactly at the same point, because you still have a tendency, even with this drill, to leak back just a little bit with your upper body, and that changes the low point of the swing just a little bit. So we're going to change that in terms of changing your setup. Okay, but this is really nice. Look at that. Look at that comparison right there. Fabulous difference. Really fabulous difference. And I'll show you at the at address. Here's your address position now. Get rid of all this stuff and take this back to address. Yeah, which one looks like the golfer? This guy's getting ready to kill it. This guy, he's not sure, but he's going to swing at it. He's going to take a whack at it. But this guy knows how to golf. Okay, so great job, Terry. Great job. I hope you enjoyed this video, because this is great stuff. And this flat left wrist coming into impact here, very important. The steady head, the head right where it started at the moment of impact. This flat left side, weight on the left side. Those are all the things we should take away from lesson 1. We're going to continue to work on that drill and get it more solid, more solid. I want to talk to you about changing the way your knees work, and then we'll also work on this backswing, so make sure that you don't come over the top. We'll fix that as well. We got some work to do, but it's going to be fun, and it's going to really, really help your game. All right, so we'll see you soon. We'll schedule another time soon after you have a chance to look at this and try some things out. Okay? All right, great. Thanks, Terry. Talk to you soon. Bye.